Listen to me carefully. There is only one guarantee in life: if you don't try, you've already lost. Some of you are carrying dreams that have been waiting on you for years. Not because you're not capable, not because you're not worthy, but because excuses dressed up like reasons have been whispering in your ear. Not now. Maybe later, when it's perfect, when you feel ready. Here's the truth: readiness is not a feeling. It's a decision. Courage is not the absence of fear. It's movement in spite of it. The gap between where you are and where you want to be is not talent, not luck, not permission. It's the attempt, the first messy, unglamorous attempt, tonight. I'm asking you to declare war on the only failure that's truly permanent: not trying. Because the pain of effort is temporary, but the pain of regret is forever. If there is breath in your lungs, there is a step you can take. If there is a heartbeat in your chest, there is a chance you can create. So make a promise with me right now. No more waiting. No more perfect moments. No more "I can't." From this moment on, there is no excuse for not trying. There's a truth I need you to let sink deep into your heart tonight. The only failure that is permanent, the only defeat that can define you, is not trying at all. You see, people spend their entire lives waiting for the perfect moment, waiting for the right resources, waiting for approval, waiting until the fear disappears. But waiting has never won anyone a medal. Waiting has never built a business. Waiting has never created a legacy. The act of trying, even if it is messy, even if it is imperfect, even if it is small, is the spark that separates the dreamers from the doers. Think about it. Every great success you admire, every story that inspires you, every person you look up to, they all share one common thread. It's not that they had more talent than you. It's not that they had more money, more time, or more connections. It's that, when the moment came, they decided to try. They moved forward while everyone else stayed seated. They raised their hand when everyone else lowered theirs. They stepped into the unknown while others sat back, paralyzed by what-ifs. And here's the most important thing you need to understand. Readiness is not a feeling. Readiness is a decision. If you wait until you feel ready, you'll be waiting for the rest of your life. You don't grow confidence before you start. You grow confidence because you started. You don't find strength before the trial. You find strength through the trial. You don't discover purpose by sitting still. You discover it by moving forward, step by step, try by try. And yet, we live in a world full of excuses. Excuses that sound sophisticated. Excuses that look responsible. Excuses that even sound like wisdom. I'll try when the timing is better. I'll try when I have the money. I'll try when people believe in me. Do you see what's happening here? Every excuse is nothing but a polite form of surrender. Every excuse is a chain that locks you to the floor of average. And average is crowded because excuses are free. Effort, on the other hand, is costly, but it's also priceless. I want to ask you something. What dream have you buried under excuses? What goal have you postponed because you convinced yourself the time wasn't right? Be honest with yourself. That idea you keep pushing to someday. How many more months? How many more years will you allow it to stay locked away? Because let me tell you something. Someday is not a day on the calendar. Someday is the word that steals decades. The gap between where you are and where you want to be is not luck. It's not fate. It's not permission. It is the attempt, that first, unpolished, awkward attempt. And once you make it, everything shifts. Because the moment you try, the universe has something to work with. Opportunities see you moving. Let me ask you a question. What hurts more, failing after you tried, or looking back one day realizing you never even gave yourself a chance? The truth is, failure stings, but regret burns forever. When you try and fall short, you walk away with lessons, with scars that tell a story, with experience that sharpens you. But when you don't try, you walk away with nothing except a lifetime of what-ifs. Every excuse you make today comes with a hidden price tag. Every time you say, "Not yet," you are taking out a loan against your own future. You don't see the interest piling up in the moment, but over time, regret compounds. Just like debt, it multiplies quietly in the background until one day it confronts you all at once. And you realize the cost of waiting was far greater than the cost of trying. Think about it. How many times have you had an idea in your mind, a goal in your heart, something you wanted to pursue, but you hesitated? Maybe it was starting a business. Maybe it was learning a skill. Maybe it was writing that book, making that call, applying for that opportunity. And then weeks turned into months, and months turned into years. One day, you see someone else doing the exact same thing you once dreamed of. And in that moment, it hits you not that they were better than you, but that they simply tried while you waited. That's the cruel reality of inaction. It doesn't just cost you opportunities. It allows someone else to seize the very prize you once desired. Life will not pause for you. The world doesn't stop spinning while you make up your mind. Opportunities don't wait at the door forever. If you don't move, someone else will. And the saddest part? Years from now, when you look back, the failures won't haunt you. The attempts that didn't work out won't excuses. They are the most creative lies we tell ourselves, and the most dangerous traps we fall into. On the surface, they look harmless. They sound reasonable. They even dress themselves up as wisdom. But deep down, excuses are nothing more than chains that quietly hold us back from the life we were created to live. Let's be honest, we've all used them. We've all said, "I don't have time." We've all whispered, "I'm not ready yet." We've all convinced ourselves, "I don't have the talent, the money, or the right connections." And each time, we feel a little relief, like we've found a smart reason to stay safe. But here's the truth. Excuses don't protect you. They imprison you. They trick you into thinking you're making a wise choice, when in reality, you're simply standing still. Think about how excuses operate. They show up in cycles. First, the opportunity presents itself. Your heart beats faster. Your imagination comes alive. And for a moment, you feel inspired. But almost immediately, the voice of doubt starts whispering. What if you fail? What if people laugh at you? What if you waste your time? That whisper grows into an excuse, something that feels logical enough to justify inaction. You tell yourself, "I'll wait until the timing is better. I'll start when I have more money. I'll try when I'm more confident." And just like that, The cycle repeats. Weeks turn into months, and months into years, while your dream collects dust. The most dangerous part of this cycle is that excuses don't sound like lies. They sound like truth. When you say, "I don't have time," it feels real, doesn't it? You look at your schedule, you see your responsibilities, and it makes sense. But here's the question. Is it really a lack of time, or is it a lack of priority? Because the truth is, people make time for what matters most. If it was urgent enough, you'd move heaven and earth to do it. Excuses blind you to that reality. Another common one. I'm not talented enough. But let me ask you, when was talent ever the deciding factor in greatness? Most of the people who changed history didn't start as the most gifted. They started as the most willing. Talent may open a door, but effort is what keeps you inside the room. Excuses tell you you're not enough. Effort tells you you'll grow into enough. Then there's the excuse of timing. How many of us have said the timing isn't right? Let me give you a hard truth. The timing will never feel right. There will always be bills to pay, responsibilities to handle, fears to face. Waiting for the perfect moment is like waiting for the ocean to stop making waves. It will never happen. The perfect time doesn't exist. The only time you actually control is the moment you're in right now. Excuses also disguise themselves as protection. I don't want to embarrass myself. I don't want to waste energy if it won't work out. But think about what that really means. You are protecting yourself from growth. You are shielding yourself from progress. Yes, trying might bring discomfort, but so does standing still. The difference is, one discomfort takes you forward, and the other keeps you stuck. I want you to pause and reflect. What excuses are you living under right now? Maybe it's your job. Maybe it's your age. Maybe it's your past. Maybe it's your circumstances. But remember, these excuses sound smart only until someone else with the same challenge succeeds. Then suddenly, your excuse is exposed for what it really was. A story you told yourself to avoid the risk of trying. So here's a challenge. Write down your top 2 excuses. Be brutally honest. Don't sugarcoat them. Then, next to each one, rewrite it as an action. For example, instead of "I don't have time," write "I will wake up 30 minutes earlier." Instead of "I don't have money," write "I will find one free resource to start learning today." Instead of "I don't have the confidence," write "I will take one small step, even while afraid." Because here's the truth. Excuses feel heavy until you face them. And the moment you name them, you rob them of their power. Once you replace them with action, you break the cycle. Excuses sound smart. Effort looks foolish until it works. And when it works, the same people who doubted you will be the first to say, "I always knew you could do it." That's the irony of life. The world doesn't reward excuses. It rewards results. Fear. It's the invisible wall that stops more dreams than failure ever could. Not because fear is stronger than us, but because we have been taught to wait until it disappears before we move. We think courage is the absence of fear. We believe bravery is about feeling no anxiety, no hesitation, no trembling. And so we wait for that perfect day when the fear finally goes away. But here's the truth you need to hear tonight. Fear never truly leaves. The butterflies in your stomach, the racing of your heart, the voice in your head that whispers, "What if I fail?" Those things don't vanish with time. They show up at every new level. The difference between the people who build their dreams and the people who bury them is not that one group has no fear, it's that they move forward while afraid. Courage is not a feeling. Courage is a choice. Courage is looking fear in the eye and saying, "You may ride in the car with me, but you will not touch the steering wheel." Think about it. The first time you rode a bicycle, were you confident? No. You were wobbly, shaky, terrified of falling. But you got on anyway. And even when you did fall, you got back up. And slowly, your fear turned into confidence because you practiced. The same is true of life. Confidence is never the starting point. Confidence is the result of trying again and again, even with trembling hands and shaking knees. Most people believe they need courage in huge doses like a lightning, bolt striking them with sudden strength. But that's not how courage works. Courage comes in microdoses, small, daily acts of bravery that build up over time. Waking up 30 minutes earlier to work on your craft, that's courage. Making the phone call you've been avoiding, that's courage. Speaking up in a meeting when your voice trembles, that's courage. Every small act compounds. And those tiny doses of courage slowly rewire your brain to believe, "I can do this." You see, fear is not your enemy. Fear is data. Fear shows up when you're standing in front of something that matters. Nobody is afraid of brushing their teeth. Nobody loses sleep over tying their shoes because those things don't change your destiny. Fear is the signal that you're at the edge of growth, the doorway to a bigger life. And what a tragedy it would be to misinterpret the signal as a stop sign instead of a green light. Some of you right now are waiting to start something because fear has convinced you you're not ready. But here's the paradox. You will never feel ready until you start. Readiness doesn't erase fear. Action transforms fear. The moment you take one step forward, your brain learns, "This didn't kill me. I survived." And with each step, the fear shrinks, the confidence grows. And suddenly, what once felt impossible becomes your new normal. I want you to imagine your life 1 year from now. If you decide to take small, brave steps every single day, imagine how much further along you would be, how much stronger, how much wiser. Now, imagine the opposite. Imagine letting fear win every battle for the next year. Where would you be? Probably in the exact same place you are right now, except with deeper regret and an even heavier heart. Fear will always whisper in your ear, but courage is the voice that speaks louder. And that voice doesn't have to shout. Sometimes, courage is a whisper to quiet, steady, but consistent. Just try, just take one more step, just keep moving. So here's what I want you to do. The next time you feel fear, don't wait for it to disappear. Instead, take a micro-brave step. Something small, something manageable, something that moves you forward. If public speaking terrifies you, speak up once in a small group. If starting a business scares you, research one simple step you can take today. If reaching out to someone feels uncomfortable, send one short message. Do it scared. Let your feet teach your heart what your mind still doubts. Because every great victory in history was won by someone who was scared, but stepped forward anyway. Motivation feels good. It's exciting. It's that surge of energy when you watch an inspiring video, when you hear the right song, when you listen to words that spark a fire in your chest. But here's the problem: motivation is temporary. It comes and it goes. It rises like a wave, and then it crashes. You cannot build your life, your dreams, or your future on something that disappears as quickly as it arrives. What separates those who succeed from those who only wish? Is not motivation, it's discipline. Discipline is unglamorous. Discipline doesn't always feel good. Discipline is doing what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like it. Discipline is showing up on the days when you're tired, when you're uninspired, when no one is cheering for you, and when progress feels invisible. Motivation gets you started, but discipline keeps you going. Motivation is a spark, but discipline is the engine that carries you through storms, dry seasons, and obstacles. Think about it like this. If you only acted when you felt motivated, how often would you really move forward? Be honest. Some days you wake up energized and ready to go, but other days you wake up heavy, sluggish, uninspired. If your dreams depend on those good days alone, you will never reach them, because most days are ordinary days. And ordinary days require extraordinary discipline. The people you admire, the athletes, the leaders, the creators, the builders, they don't succeed because they are motivated every day. They succeed because they are disciplined every day. They built habits that carried them forward even when their feelings tried to hold them back. Here's the key. Discipline is not about punishment. It's about freedom. It is not about restriction. It is about release. Discipline frees you from being a prisoner of your moods. Discipline frees you from the trap of waiting for inspiration. Discipline frees you to create results no matter what you feel. Let's make this practical. Imagine you decide you're going to work on your dream for 15 minutes every day. 15 minutes, small enough to be doable, powerful enough to create momentum. Motivation might get you to do it for 2 or 3 days in a row, but then life happens. You get busy, you feel tired, you don't see immediate results. Motivation fades. And if that's all you had, you stop. But discipline says, no matter what, I keep my word. Discipline shows up whether the sun is shining or the rain is pouring. Discipline shows up whether your friends are supporting you or doubting you. Discipline shows up until it becomes identity, until it becomes who you are. And that's the real secret. Discipline isn't about willpower. It's about identity. When you see yourself as someone disciplined, when you adopt the identity of I am the kind of person who shows up, your actions follow naturally. You don't have to fight with yourself every day. You simply live according to who you believe you are. Ask yourself this. What would your life look like if you became a disciplined person, not just a motivated one? What if you built routines so solid, habits so automatic, that progress became inevitable? What if instead of chasing the high of motivation, you committed to the consistency of discipline? Look around you. Who you spend time with, where you spend your time, and the atmosphere you create around yourself. It all matters more than you realize. You may have the best intentions in the world, the strongest goals, and the clearest vision. But if your environment is pulling you in the opposite direction, you will feel like you are running uphill with weights on your back. Human beings are shaped by proximity. We rise or we fall to the level of those we surround ourselves with. If you spend your days with people who complain, who blame, who make excuses, who settle, you will begin to absorb their energy without even realizing it. Their language becomes your language. Their beliefs become your beliefs. And slowly, you start to live by limitations that were never even yours. But the opposite is also true. When you surround yourself with people who are hungry, people who are disciplined, people who push themselves, you can't help but be elevated. Their drive pulls you higher. Their energy fuels you. Their commitment reminds you of what's possible. This is why environment isn't just background, it's the stage on which your entire life plays out. Think about this. If you put a seed in poor soil, it doesn't matter how much potential is inside that seed, it won't grow. But if you place that same seed in rich, nourishing soil, it begins to thrive. You are the same way. You are not broken. You are not incapable. You might just be planted in the wrong environment. And until you change the soil, your growth will be stunted. That's why it's so important to evaluate not just your habits, but your surroundings. Who are the 5 people you spend the most time with? Studies show that your income, your health, your happiness, even your mindset are all deeply influenced by those people. If your circle is small-minded, it's only a matter of time before your dreams shrink to fit them. But if your circle is expansive, if it is filled with visionaries, doers, and believers, you will naturally expand too. Now let's go deeper. It's not just about people, it's about your physical environment too. Is your space set up to help you succeed or to distract you? If you're trying to write but your phone is constantly buzzing, if you're trying to study but your desk is cluttered, if you're trying to grow but your environment is chaotic, you are fighting unnecessary battles. Discipline is easier when your environment is aligned with your goals. Remove friction, add support. If you want to eat better, don't fill your kitchen with junk food. If you want to exercise, keep your shoes where you can see them. If you want to focus, turn off notifications. Small changes in environment create massive differences in consistency. And here's where it all ties back to identity. Because the truth is, environment doesn't just shape what you do, it shapes who you believe you are. If everyone around you sees you as the lazy one, it's easy to play into that role. If your environment reflects distraction and clutter, you begin to think of yourself as someone disorganized. But when you change the environment, when you surround yourself with people who expect greatness, when you set up your space for focus, you start to see yourself differently. And once identity shifts, behavior follows. This is why some of the most powerful transformations don't start with motivation. They start with relocation. They start with someone saying, "I can't stay in this place anymore. I can't keep surrounding myself with this energy," because deep down, they know where you are determines who you become. I want you to take a hard look at your life. Who drains you? Who fuels you? What environments distract you? What environments empower you? And most importantly, what does your current circle say about your future? Because whether you realize it or note failure, a word that has been painted as the enemy of success. From childhood, we were conditioned to fear it. In school, a wrong answer was marked in red. On the playground, falling down made others laugh. At home, mistakes were often corrected with disapproval, slowly, without even realizing it. We learned to connect failure with shame, and so, as adults, we avoid it at all costs. We don't take risks, we don't step outside our comfort zone, and we don't chase our biggest dreams because the possibility of failing feels too heavy to carry. But here's the truth you must grasp if you want to live a life without excuses. Failure is not the opposite of success. It is the raw material of success. Every skill you've mastered, every lesson you've absorbed, every strength you've developed, none of it came from getting everything right on the first try. Think back to when you first learned to walk. You fell hundreds of times. Did you stop? No. You got back up because falling was part of learning. When you learned to ride a bike, you wobbled, you tipped over, you scraped your knees. But each fall taught you balance. Failure wasn't the end, it was feedback. Somewhere along the way, though, we grew older and began to attach ego to failure. Suddenly, mistakes weren't just lessons, they became proof in our minds that we weren't good enough. That's the lie excuses feed on. Excuses whisper, if you try and fail, you'll look weak, you'll look foolish, better to stay safe. And so instead of risking a stumble, we stop moving altogether. But what we don't realize is this: refusing to fail is the fastest way to guarantee regret. Failure is a mirror that shows you what doesn't work, and that mirror is priceless because it saves you from wasting years doing the wrong thing. Every setback is data, and data is direction. Think of life as a constant experiment. If one approach doesn't work, you adjust and try another. That's not failure, it's progress in disguise. History is full of people who understood this truth. Thomas Edison famously said he didn't fail thousands of times while inventing the light bulb. He discovered thousands of ways that didn't work. Each failure brought him closer to the one that did. Michael Jordan, one of the greatest athletes to ever live, missed over 9,000 shots in his career, lost nearly 300 games, and failed to make the winning shot 26 times. And yet, it was those very failures that sharpened his game, that gave him the grit to become legendary. Now, let's make this personal. How many times have you let one failed attempt convince you that your dream wasn't meant for you? Maybe you tried a business that didn't work out. Maybe you gave a speech and stumbled over your words. Maybe you reached out to someone and got rejected. And instead of treating those moments as feedback, you treated them as final judgment. You decided, I guess this just isn't for me. But imagine if a baby said, I fell once, I guess walking isn't for me. Imagine if Edison stopped after the first broken bulb. Imagine if Jordan quit after being cut from his high school basketball team. The world would have been robbed of brilliance, not because they weren't capable, but because they gave up too soon. Here's the shift I want you to make. Stop seeing failure as an enemy and start seeing it as a teacher. Failure is feedback. It is the most honest, most direct, most powerful teacher you will ever have. Success doesn't whisper, it disguises itself in the lessons of failure. If you listen, it will guide you to exactly where you need to go. The truth is, people don't remember your failures as much as you think they do. We exaggerate the spotlight in our minds. We think everyone is watching, everyone is judging, everyone is laughing. But most people are too focused on their own lives to dwell on your mistakes. What they will remember is that you kept going. They'll remember your persistence, not your stumbles. They'll remember your victories, not the rough drafts that got you there. So let me ask you this. What dream have you put on hold because you feared failing? What idea have you silenced because you stumbled once? What opportunity have you buried because the risk of looking foolish felt too high? Because the only real failure is quitting. Everything else is feedback. Every attempt, even the messy ones, are bricks laid on the road to your breakthrough.